done would have been enough to cover all the infrastructure costs, and then we had the 2.3 from the state. So there should be somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.5 million left. Where'd Jamie go? Oh, there she is. All right.
Just hiding in the corner.
Exactly.
I'm trying to get this to show up, but we can.
I will say while she's getting ready, the original plan was to have this sign ready to go back last fall, and to bring this before City Council then. The initial design, we got it, we had comments back, we sent it back to the engineers. There was a lot of thought that went into this, back and forth between the engineers that were working on it, the landscape team, and Jamie's office and Bobby Marr's office, everything from the drainage, the irrigation, the electrical service, etc. I'll also let you know that on the landscaping aspect of it, Coastal Greenery was the only group to bid on it. Which is why you have their proposal, and they gave us three options, sort of an economy class, if you will, a business class, and then a first class option. We sort of arrived at a compromise between their economy class and their business class, so sort of a mid-range landscaping project, but it was more than that, more than just the price range. It was going through and identifying individual plants. For example, look at their shade canopy. How much of the road would that cover? Would that be intrusive to truck traffic? Would they cause maintenance issues down the road? And that's why we're bringing this to you with the proposal to go with a private firm, that they would be responsible. Right now, they're responsible for mowing out there and the landscape maintenance out there. The idea being that your public works staff is strapped enough, as we know. I think Robbie went through, and they've got about 9 positions to fill right now. We want to make sure that once this is installed, we have somebody we can look to and hold accountable for the upkeep of it, so that it looks just as good 2 years from now as it does the day we put it in. So, all right, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yep.
It's much appreciated. Thank you, Council, Mr. Mayor, and members of the public for the opportunity to present this and really give you some detail behind how we arrived at slightly this design. Thank you to Mr. Horton for bringing up one iteration of the design. What is different about what you're seeing here is that we have selected 2 specialty live oak trees rather than the palm trees flanking the signage, and I'll get to that a little bit later. Just wanted to offer a little bit of insight as to how we arrived at this design. So what you're seeing in sort of the top panel on the right, that is raised powder-coated bronze metal font that will come a little bit off the screen. There is also, that will be on a monument sign that is made of tabby. The brick below is a specialty brick called Cherokee Autumn Smoke. That's the brick veneer that we see on the St. Mary's Elementary School. And then you see the silhouette of the live oak tree. We took, on the left-hand side, you'll see the precedent studies that we looked at. You'll see those architectural beams, we'll call them, which are kind of, they're powder-coated aluminum posts, actually, that go kind of up from the ground and up from the sign. And the precedent study was the Hilton Head Airport. The idea is that the design is calling back to the history of the site as an airport, but is also showing the forward progression, as James mentioned. The city of St. Mary's is moving forward. And lighting will be very integral to this design, but I'll get to that in a minute. I want to also focus a little bit on the materials that you see on this sign are drawn from the same materials and the same type of design that we're doing for the Exit 1 entryway monumentation signage. So this project just got out ahead a little bit before that project, but the same Cherokee brick veneer, the same raised powder-coated bronze-colored letters, the same live oak tree silhouette. And the trees that we selected that will not go where the palm trees are, well, they will go where the palm trees are. These are a specialty live oak referred to as a boardwalk live oak. This is a commerce park after all. There will be heavy traffic that's flowing through there. The boardwalk live oak is one that grows in a little bit more of a conical shape rather than the kind of sprawling, have to trim it so trucks don't hit it that we see here downtown. So a lot of thought and intention went into this. And I also want to just kind of talk about, in this design, we were really trying to set the tone, that this is the level of design and development that we want to see, not just in the Commerce Park, but all throughout the city. And so, really taking cues from our entryway monumentation signage for Exit 1. And then also, there are two very prominent businesses that are in the Commerce Park right now. So Griffin Lumber and Specialty Steel Products. When I first joined the city, which will be 2 years in about 2 weeks, when I first joined the city, I had the opportunity to work with Griffin Lumber. They wanted their St. Mary's site to be their showcase site. That was they have several different locations throughout the state, but they wanted it to be their showcase site. They worked really hard with our team to create what I think is a lovely landscape plan, which our landscape plan will complement, and they spent tens of thousands of dollars on their monumentation signage. So I think this sets the tone, it sets the bar, it sort of is a leading by example from the city, putting up the type of design and development that we'd like to see. And from that, I do want to address lighting. Lighting on this sign and the way that we have designed it is integral to the sign itself. So again, I'll reiterate that the Boardwalk Live Oaks will be ground lit, right? So for a kind of dramatic effect at night. The architectural beams, or the things that are kind of, moving, showing the forward progression, they will be both backlit and uplit. That includes at the top of the monument sign. So it's hard to see from this angle, but those beams are actually projecting out of the top of the sign. They're not behind it like in the ground. And so the top of the sign will have those. And then there will be, as you're seeing, well, it's not in this example that's on here, but it's in my paper example, what's referred to as a reverse channel lit letter. So behind that City of St. Mary's Commerce Park will be small LED lights that have a certain heat to them. So if you know lighting is measured in kelvins. This is soft, warm light. So this isn't going to be like a kapow lit sign. It's going to be very subtle, very intentional to the design. And honestly, I just don't think we can achieve that with solar. There's a time and place for solar, but this is not quite the site. We have enough constraints. I've already asked Public Works to remove the required traffic signs, which they can't do. So, but just in the idea of keeping the design palette and everything in there is intentional. Again, I'll take any questions that you might have.
Yeah, I was going to ask your recommendation on the lighting, and you just did that, so thank you for that. And my other question would be...
Before we get into that, can we have a motion, and then we'll have discussion?
So moved.
Okay, motion by Mr. Rassy.
Second.
And a second by Connors, Mr. Connors. Okay.
Were there two companies?
I'm sorry, we need a motion to accept,
I didn't know which company.
yeah.
I want a motion to accept the bid from Camden County, from,
Dalton.
Dalton Sign.
Jamie, could you talk to us a little bit about who
Yes, I'm
were
happy to do
the
that.
vendors again?
Yep,
please?
so there are two vendors or manufacturers, I would say. One, and forgive me, whoever owns this company, but I'm going to refer to you as Denise, which is capital D, lowercase e, N-Y-S-E, and the other is Dalton Signs. The Denise proposal gives us the uplit lighting of the architectural beams. It gives us the channelized backlit letters, and it gives the uplighting for all of the beams, the top of the beam. What I did notice in this proposal is that I don't see the specified ground lighting for the live oaks. Whereas the Dalton proposal does not do the channelized lighting. It does not do the uplighting of the beams. It does propose a solar-powered, sort of like kind of pack lighting that would light the face of the sign, sort of similar to that second precedent study on the left-hand side, second one down.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion now?
So, make a motion for Dalton sign.
Okay. Is there a second for that motion? Is there another motion?
I make a motion.
I'm sorry, was there a second to that?
There was not.
No.
There was not.
I'd like to make a motion that we go with Denise.
Okay. Second by Mr. Jones.
Can I say one thing, Greg, before
We're all gonna have opportunity to talk. So we got a first by Ms. King and a second by Ms. So now we are open to discussion, and go ahead, Ms. Conley.
Well, it's, I mean, you know, when we talk about Dalton Lights, if I'm not mistaken, I happened to meet with someone this morning, but with Dalton Lights, I mean, they really don't do the lights. And as far as underground electricity and all of that, they're more in the area of the solar stuff. That's my understanding, Dalton. Am I correct or incorrect on that?
Correct.
Okay.
When I was going to ask a question, it was just going to be on the nature of the beams. Like, so I mean, I guess they're going to be stable enough to where if there were children that decided like they wanted to hang on it or something, not that that needs to happen. I mean, would they be secure enough
Right.
for that type of liability?
I would believe so. I mean, I think that that's one of the things that we'd work with the manufacturer on. They're not, they're aluminum, so they'll be like a powder-coated aluminum to have that bronze look. I'm not sure how they get, anchored into the ground, but we could look at it. I know someone also expressed a concern over the pointy nature of this rendering. They won't be, kind of like spears coming out of the ground. So we'll try to kind of soften that, I think, as it's
Just a quick
fabricated.
question. Do we have any type of warranty on that? I mean, if it were to rust over the years or whatever, or this, that, or the other, does the company give us a warranty? Well, it's going to last 25 years. We expect it to last how many years or whatever? Are they going to replace things over the years? Can they replace things if we had a hurricane? Can they come in and replace those things? Which they should be able to if they put them up.
So, I mean, I believe the warranty is a standard 1 year
Yeah.
warranty from installation.
On both companies.
What's the wind
Yeah, I
capacity
see
on
language
that
in
as
here
well?
of 1 year. Lighted bulbs, no. 1 year on the overall signage.
Do we know the wind capacity that it can actually withstand?
I don't, but those are all things that we would check to make
Okay,
sure with
okay.
the, yeah.
And this
Okay,
was
thank you, Robbie.
designed by Thomas and Hutton. Right, so.
There was a concern about maintenance for the backlit channelized lighting, and I've been informed from Thomas and Hutton that there is a, let me get the words right. These are LED backlit. There will be kind of a small panel that would allow us, if one of the channelized letters went out, they're each individual lights, and there's an access panel that would allow to change out those bulbs, because I think there was some concern of that.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on the difference of the solar lighting and the electricity. I know that, I do a lot of time, I like to trust staff and, it's your recommendation for the electricity, and it sounds like the design really, you wouldn't be able to accomplish everything you wanted to accomplish with the solar lighting. And also just, I have somewhat of a solar background. When breaking down, like for a homeowner, like the percentage of what lighting is to your light bill, it's 10% or less in most cases. So, if it's just for lighting, it's not like you're going to have an abundantly high power bill for powering the lights that you do have. And then the solar, has the cost up front, maintenance as well, and a lifespan where you have to replace it at some point in time. solar lighting is good for areas that you can't get power to if you don't have power lines already going to be there. And it's definitely situational where it's the best option. But, based off of what we're trying to accomplish with the sign, that I do agree. And that's the only, I'd love to, support local business in Dalton Signs. But if they can't produce the product that we really desire, that, I don't see us
Right.
going
I
out of
think-
our way to make that happen.
I agree with Chad.
Yeah, I think one of my concerns was, one of the applications that we were referenced was the exit 3 sign, which is basically to be seen from one side, that, a local installation sign that Dalton had done. Solar panel behind the sign, that's your main point of view. Whereas here, you got people going down both sides. There's really nowhere to hide a solar panel in the design, which was kind of one of my concerns about that as well, so.
Yes. And Alan, we certainly want to do business here at home, but they just can't do what we need to do, in my opinion, on this. And that's the reason I'm leaning the other way.
We can agree to disagree.
Where did James go? Is he still here? I know you said that money can't be used, for other things. I understand that.
Yes, sir.
So the money's already there from the bond. Can it be used for other things within the park other than the sign? Like what can that money be used for?
It was, the bond was for the construction of the park, which, like I said, includes the signage, the landscaping, the road, the water, the sewer. You wouldn't use it for operations, if that's kind of what you're
After
getting
the
at.
sign, what would come up next that we could use the money for?
Well, I mentioned this to Councilwoman Keene earlier. There will be other signage. This is the grand entrance. The Point Peter Road and Brick Hill intersection is your grand entrance. There'll be an opportunity to do some kind of monument signage on Dandy, which is right there by the fire station, and some kind of signage, probably smaller, at Douglas. Because I don't think we want to encourage Douglas to be a main point of entrance for this park, but there should be some type of signage there. So I would think you'd want to do signage at Dandy and at Douglas.
Will there be any additional water and sewer infrastructure that needs to go in?
Not in the existing Commerce Park. Depending on what happens with property at the north end of the park, that will have its own water sewer design, and that'll be contemplated in that as a separate project.
Would the scope of the bonding cover work on that north part of the runway, or would that have to be, or that have to be a new bond, or?
Well, I don't know that you'll have to bond that, but whoever moves into that north end will be able to tap into your line that you've got there at Brick Hill, and that'll be negotiations between the city and that new occupant, that new tenant, to decide who's responsible for tapping them in to that, and there'll be some tap fee or aid to construction fee on their behalf that would have to cover that.
I just want to say this one thing. So I took most of the day researching and being on the phone with people about this sign issue. If there's other things coming up, and I'm not quoting you on this, James, but if it is approximately 1.5 million, even if that's the number and we have other signs, for me, and I said this last council meeting, the solar thing is out. So that to me takes out the Dalton signs. So it makes the decision between the two easier, even though Denise, if that's how you pronounce it, is more expensive. But from what research I've done and talking with other people, I'd like to potentially, and maybe council, you can entertain this, open it back up to bid for this reason. Because, hold on, I think we can get it for around $5,000 cheaper than what Dalton was doing with embedded lighting. So the same, everything the same, for $5,000 less. Now, there's a difference of about $19,000 between Dalton and, what's the difference between Dalton and Denise?
No, it was about $2,000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at $79,000.
because you have to add back in the
Add
solar.
panel
Yeah.
to the 60,000 from.
That's right, that's what I wasn't doing, okay.
Only
So,
about $2,000 difference.
okay, so if you were to do it for $5,000 less, add the two, so $7,000 less with embedded lighting, is it worth council waiting or not? That's the only thing I'm gonna propose, because they would still need to come to the site, they'd still need to look at it to get exact figures, but I'm just trying to save the city a little bit of money maybe we can use towards other signage. But if not, it's not that big of a difference. I mean, $7,000 is $7,000. But what research I've done today, Of course, I agree with everything Jamie said. Love the sign. It's beautiful. Solar's out of the question for me. But that's just something I want to put on the table, if that's worth it to you guys to get another bid, or do you just want to go with?
What about the
Mr. Blackerby,
possibility?
Let's just put us, because we had a sealed, you had a sealed bid process, and you
Yeah, I call
have,
for the question.
you have somebody,
I call for the question.
okay, can I get legal clarification, just because?
Well, you could, I mean, if you wanted to put it back out, I suppose you could just reject the bids that have been submitted and re-solicit bids and start anew.
So there's no preferential that they're aware of what was bid already, that doesn't provide any kind of situation?
What about the possibility of having this company that you've looked into bid on the future signs
absolutely.
as well?
Absolutely.
I'd want to look at that issue a little bit more, but I think you
Okay.
could, I think you could reject the bids if you wanted to, and just
Okay.
re-solicit.
So that answers the question, but Mr. Jones is called for the vote. So
Approve this sign.
so the motion is to accept the proposal from Denise Signs, if that's how you say it correctly. We need to get clarification on that from them. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, any opposed?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have 5-4, and Mr. Rassi against. That passes. All right, thank you, madam. Okay, we move into our new business. Yes, sir.